Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Wallace and welcome to my channel. I've been raised by angels, and so I know it's a big bold statement, but that's all right. I have proof. I have a book out. You can actually purchase the book. It's called Raised by Angels. You can purchase it for $29.95, and that includes shipping. I just need you to email all your information, your name, your address, and your phone number to my email address, which is nwallace, that's WALLACE, at hotmail.com. And then when I get your phone number, I will call you back and we will make sure all the information is correct, and you pay for it through Zelle, and you use again my email address, nwallace77 at hotmail.com, and also with PayPal, the same email address. So anyway, welcome to the show. I've asked people who like to listen to the show or watch the show to actually send in me some of their stories about angels, spirit guides, whatever they want that is a story. And so I'm going to read a couple of them today, and we'll go from there. So here's the first one. In a house previously built and occupied by my ex-mother-in-law, and now occupied by me with two very young children at the time when this happened, it was noticeable by me how things just weren't right, energy-wise. To confirm it, my ex-husband said over the phone that a wall hanging just fell off the wall. That's it. Enough confirmation for me. A couple from a nearby country town were kind of known as Ghostbusters. Together with me, we stood in the children's nursery room where the couple determined something was there. I burst into tears and turned away to let out the distress by walking out of the room. The couple generously gave it a week before coming back, asking that I put salt in a circle all around the outside of the farmhouse. When Ken and Jan returned, the three of us formed a circle inside the nursery. Ken and Jan did the rest. We all had taken up Reiki, so we stood in a force together. Perhaps if I wasn't there, I may not have believed it. The entity, unwillingly, via Ken, not so good for him perhaps, but she left. Likely to have been an original lady, the entity, who was not particularly happy with squatters on her land. The other residue energy that was supposed to be cleared by a different fellow was that an ex-mother-in-law, no kidding, ex-mother-in-law, surprise there, no surprise there. She just would not let go of her son, ex-husband, her ex-home, plus ex-farm. Anyway, enough of that in the past. End of my experience. Thank you very much. So that's one of them. So your experiences are kind of important because people really are afraid to talk about their experiences. And if they have somebody that they can relate the experiences to, or hear that somebody else has had these experiences, they're much better off with being able to accept theirs or to talk about it. So I have another one. It's kind of short, but it's still kind of interesting. It says, I was hiking in the mountains on a narrow trail with my daughter. My daughter had gone ahead of me about 6 feet away. Next thing I knew, I tripped over the rock that's the same color as the trail. Everything began to slow down. I noticed I was seeing the ground, the dirt, the soil in a very clear vision, but everything was in slow motion. As I was about to fall, a monumentary was very strong. I could hear myself thinking, oh no, I'm about to fall. I screamed a little while I was falling, but before I hit the ground, about a foot away, I was completely straight again. My daughter turned around because she had heard the scream. Then she saw me upright. She was surprised and I was shocked. I was so sure that I was going to hit the ground, but miraculously, I stood up straight at the very last second. I didn't feel like it was possible from my physical point of view, so I asked my angels, did you help me? And if so, can you please give me a sign that can let me know? So she asked for a sign, and the sign that they gave her was the number 111 on a license plate that day. Never get to see 111 on a plate. Surely enough, 2 hours later, driving to school to pick up my daughter, I saw 111 in front of me. Then 30 minutes later, I drove my daughter to the dance class and saw the license plate 111 in front of us again. We knew that Angel's confirmation caused it happened again and again, 2-3 times, maybe 30 minutes apart. Isn't that interesting? You ask for the help, you get the help. You just got to ask. That's what people don't understand. They're afraid to ask, or they just don't want to know what to do. Now, when I sent out my newscast about the show, I talked about a person who sent me their experience with a Ouija board. So I'm going to read their experience, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ouija boards, because they're not all they cracked up to be, actually. So she writes, "Hi, Nancy. I'm not sure exactly what you need, but I will just tell you my story. If you just don't put up my first name. I don't put up anybody's name." So here's her story starts. "So I don't remember the year. I was probably about 10 years old or 11. So probably around 1969, something like that. For Christmas, my mom decided to give us something different. My sister was about 7 to 10. My mom brought home a Ouija board. Well, we didn't know anything about a Ouija board. We had no idea how dangerous they were, and my mom didn't either. She wasn't into witchcraft or anything like that. It was just an innocent thing on her part to buy a present. And we started playing the Ouija board. We thought it was cool that it was moving by itself. We played it a lot. My mom found in the children's section of the toy store, so my mom probably figured it was just meant for kids. Around that time, I started having dreams of people that have passed. To this day, I still have those dreams. If I hug somebody, their loved ones will come through to me in a dream, even if I don't know them. And I will still have signs to tell their loved ones that passed on to me in a dream, and always in 3Ds. Still have those dreams to this day. Anyway, within a week back doors were opening and shutting by themselves. Water was turning on by themselves. My mom would go to the store and come out of the car, and all four a car door were wide open, but nothing was taken. My parents tried to figure out what was going on, and we didn't have any explanation for why the things were happening the way they were happening. Also, my dad got fired from his job around the same time. This went on for about 6 months, and it was starting really to freak me out. And I remember one time my grandpa, who just recently passed, came to me in a dream, but it wasn't a dream. I was wide awake, and he was standing in the room. Years later, we heard that house had a couple people that have died, and maybe they were just a lot of energy in that house. I'm not sure, but it was pretty spooky, to say the least. So after about 6 months or so, we threw it away. My mom threw it away, and that was it. So that's my experience with the Ouija board. I never got another one. That's a good thing. Nor had any desire to get one. See, people don't realize how dangerous Ouija boards are. There was a movie that came out a long time ago, and it was called Witchboard. And it was all about how this young girl bought this witchboard for herself, and after she bought it and she was practicing with it, a lot of strange things happen. Like, for example, possessions start taking her over. See, I tried a Ouija board a long time ago, but it didn't work for me. Nothing would move. If I took my hands off of it, because I wasn't alone, we were two or three other girls just having some fun, girlfriend. And if I took my hands off, the little thing would move. But if I put my hands back on it, it wouldn't move, which told me that it's probably not a good thing to play with it because the energy wasn't right. A lot of people think a Ouija board is fun. They think they can communicate with the dead. And all of that stuff may be true, but the Ouija board tends to lie to you. It lies to you a lot. Anything to convince you who they are so they can come in and basically possess you. Now, I know that sounds strong. It probably sounds really hard, but it's very true. If they can come through the Ouija board to possess you, they will. So one of the biggest rules is to never work with a Ouija board by yourself. Even now, people are going to disagree with me because a lot of psychics go, oh, I can do it. Well, that's fine if you're a psychic and you know exactly what you're doing. But a normal, everyday person doesn't know what they're doing. They also don't know what they're getting themselves into. Because like I said, you can ask the Ouija board many questions and it'll point out different things to you. It'll even spell out names for you if you like. But that doesn't mean that they're telling you the truth. And 9 times out of 10, they're not. They will tell you what they think you want to know so that they can find a way to come in and possess you. Now, again, I'm not for Ouija boards and I'm not for angel boards because they're both the same. It's just they have a different title. Okay? And in her story, she said her mother threw it away. But the correct way to get rid of a Ouija board is to burn it. That's right, to burn it. But I have heard stories from people who tried to burn their Ouija board, and the Ouija board actually tried to jump out of the fire or it was screaming. Now, what would that tell you? You know, is it a good thing? I don't think so. When I was back in Chicago, a couple of my friends and myself would go out and we would clear different entities out of people's homes. And I remember this one because it was really, really bad. It was a townhome in Naperville, 3 stories. So we explained to the lady what we were going to do if she wanted us to do it, because we couldn't do it without her saying okay. So we explained to her what the process was, and we explained to her that if she was going to do it, she needed to do it while we were there now. Because if she didn't do it and we left, a lot of things were going to happen. The reason she prompted to call me was that her 11-year-old son was laying on the couch, and all of a sudden he was tossed onto the floor. Didn't fall off the couch. He was tossed onto the floor. That in itself is scary enough. So while we were there, we went through the house, starting at the basement, which was not so good. A lot of things hidden there. And then up to the main level, not totally cleared it out because she didn't give us our okay, but kind of just soothed the energy, we'll say. And then I went up to the 3rd floor of this townhouse, and her little girl's bedroom was up there. And her bedroom was the coldest room that I've ever been in. And the little girl was telling her mom that she kept seeing things come out of the closet. But the mom didn't really want to believe her because she was just a little kid. And what does she know? She's just probably playing a game and making it up. Okay? So that was one room. As I was standing by the banister looking down, this energy, entity, whatever you want to call it, came flying up the stairs and said to me, "Jump, you bitch." And I said, "You don't really know who you're working with or who you're talking to, but I am not about to jump." Well, with that, the energy was like a wind, and it went into this one bedroom. Now, we can't get into the bedroom because they had the door locked. So I went back downstairs and I told her that she needed to call the person who is renting that room and tell him to come and unlock the door so we could see what's really going on there. And she said, "Well, I really don't want to do that." And I said, "Well, I'm just telling you, if you want to know what's happening, he has to come and unlock that door." She said, "Well, it's a husband and wife that rent from us, and we need the money, so I don't want them to leave." I said, "Well, that's up to you, but nevertheless, he needs to come and unlock the door so we could finish our, quote, tour to give you our idea of what we could do or what should be done before we leave." So the guy finally came. Wouldn't look at me at all. In fact, he unlocked the door, and as soon as he unlocked the door, he left again. Now, the spooky thing about that bedroom is that laying on top of that bed was a Ouija board. And the witch's sign was the bedspread. So they were practicing probably a lot of evil witchcraft using the Ouija board, which was bringing evil spirits into this lady's townhome. So we told her, we can clear it out for you if you want. She said, I don't know if I want to do that. And I said, okay, well, let me explain to you. If you don't do that now, while we are here, and we leave, there's going to be a lot of things that start to happen. She said, like what? And I said, well, place will be flying. She said, well, they already do sometimes. I said, no, it'll be worse. Your lights will flicker on and off. All of the entities that don't want to leave are going to basically attack you. Or they will show you that they're there. So I'm going to tell you right now, while we are here, we can do the clearing for you and help you. But if we walk out that door, don't call me back. She goes, I just can't do it right now. I said, okay, well, good luck, and don't call me back. And we left without doing anything. And about 2 weeks later, the lady did call back, hysterical, telling me all the things that have been going on and that she wanted us to come back and get rid of it. And I know this may sound mean, but I told her no. I told her that we were there originally, and I told you everything that was going to be happening after we left, and yet you still wouldn't do it. So I'm sorry, but you'll have to call somebody else. And I'm not picking on you or anything else. It's just that when we go out and we tell people what it is and what needs to be done, and they still don't want to do it, and then they call back, we usually don't go. So I told her she needed to probably call somebody else to see if they could come out and help her out. And I don't really know what happened to her in the townhouse, but I also told her that she should probably move because there's a bunch of really bad entities in that townhouse, and they are going to stay there as long as that couple's there practicing their witchcraft with the Ouija board. So that's one of the experiences that I had, and just out of a few, okay? Out of a few. Now, I'm going to read another one to you that we got from somebody. And it's short, but it's really nice. It's short, but nice. And she said, I was walking out of my condo I was living in, carrying 2 big boxes. I tripped over a break in the sidewalk and actually saw the cement rushing at my face. And the next thing I knew, I was running across the field 15 feet away from the sidewalk. Still had the boxes in my hands. Someone held me up. Don't you think an angel was right there making sure she was okay? And that she got held up and she was fine? That's what I would think. Okay, that's what I would think. And then I have another one, kind of a short one, but interesting. I see angels are all around. And they're all around you, whether you know it or not, or whether you believe it or not, they are. And all you have to do is ask for their help. And sometimes you don't even have to ask for their help, because in this situation that I just read, the 2 people that were going to fall, the angels were there to make sure they didn't fall, which was great, okay? So they're there to help you. They're there to protect you. All you have to do is recognize them and send them your love. This one says, I was driving home after working one evening. Construction was everywhere on Interstate 55. Know that one very well from Chicago, heading south of the suburbs of Chicago. It was like a parking lot. I was the last car in line, just sitting there waiting for movement. As I glanced in my rearview mirror, I noticed headlights were traveling very fast toward me, and in that moment, I heard a voice tell me not to try and drive to the side, which was my first instinct, but to quickly turn my wheel to the right, and I listened. The headlights finally met the back of my SUV, punching out my trunk completely, while I continued into the ditch. Because my wheel was turned, I only swiped the car in front of me. I would have directly crashed the entire front of my car if that wheel hadn't been turned. I know I heard 911 calling through my car's emergency speaker. The voice came back yelling to me to scream or shout so they knew I was alive and need help. My entire body throbbed. My leg had been jammed under the seat adjuster. I couldn't move. The fire department arrived and removed my door and freed me from from the being trapped with my leg and put me on a stretcher. No broken bones, no internal damage, not even a scratch or a drop of blood. Muscle soreness, of course, but nothing more. My angels alerted me and saved my life. My human instinct didn't match what I was instructed to do. That's why I'm still here today. Always listen with your brain, but train it to also shut up. That way your heart will lead. You can never go wrong when you discern with your heart. So what she's saying in that last part is not necessarily to trust your logic brain, but to trust your heart, which is what I call the intuitive heart smart part. And a lot of people don't really listen to that, and then things not so good will happen to them. And then they think back, well, I heard this voice, but I didn't listen. That's your angels talking to you, trying to get you to understand that they are there to help you. They are there to protect you. They're there to make sure that you're okay. All you have to do is acknowledge them sometimes. Send them love. Tell them thank you. Tell them how much you appreciate them. It's all you have to do in order to get the angels to help you. The other thing is that a lot of people have a hard time believing that the angels are watching over them, mostly because of the way their life has been. But what people don't realize is that you've chosen the life that you're in before you ever got here. And so you have to learn how to handle it. And you have to learn that the angels will be there to help you. You also have to learn the difference between acknowledging an angel and, if you're using a Ouija board, acknowledging evil spirits. The movie Witchboard, as I mentioned, talks about this girl who worked with the Ouija board all by herself, and pretty soon she was possessed. And you really need to watch it. If you have any idea about playing with the Ouija board or have played with the Ouija board, it's pretty much right on. A lot of people think movies are just movies, but in this case, Ouija boards are Ouija boards. And messing with the Ouija boards, sometimes, most of the time, even if you think you know what you're doing, isn't the best. And to give a Ouija board to a child who is totally fresh, totally innocent, is one of the worst things that you could do as a parent. Because spirits, being evil ones, will come in and they actually will take over your child. And it's very hard at that point to get rid of them. So save yourself the problem. Save yourself the worry. Don't mess with a Ouija board. Don't mess with an angel board. If you want to connect with somebody, connect with your heart and through your angels. It'll work out much better for you. Now, again, I'm going to tell you my book was reprinted. I wrote it. Well, I didn't. The angels wrote it about 30 years ago. It's about my life story and a lot of the things that I have gone through. Some are good, some are bad, some are sad. But the comments that I've gotten from people that already purchased my book, they said they started reading it and couldn't put it down, which is a good thing. I mean, it sounds good. So if you have any comments or experiences or questions that you would like to send to me and let me see if I can get them answered, just send them again to nwallace77@hotmail.com. Also, in the coming weeks, may not be next week, but in the coming weeks, I have a person who sent in a really good ghost story. So we're going to talk about his ghost story. It's really interesting. Until then, you have a great week, a great weekend, and trust your angels. Hope you got it. Good luck. Bye for now.